each panelist is going to have about 5 minutes to talk about themselves and what they do and what area of criminal justice they represent. And after we are done with everybody's introduction, first of all, introduce yourselves properly. And then once that is done, we'll allow you to ask them questions, okay? So I've been told that as the moderator of the panel, I'm going to be standing. So I'll be here. You can ignore me and listen to the person speaking. All right, so we'll start in order. We'll go with Kevin Jones first.
All right. My name is Kevin Jones. I work with the FBI here in Salem. I graduated from WOU in 2012. I was lucky enough to get an internship with the Bureau, and so I'll be talking about the FBI, my experience here at Western, and a lot of things that I was able to bring to the Bureau thanks to Western.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Hunter. I'm a police officer with City of Salem. I have been working there since 2011. I graduated from Western in 2007.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Hughes, and I'm a crime victim advocate with the Benton County District Attorney's Office. I graduated from Western in 2015.
My name is Deputy Sam Hatch. I'm a corrections deputy for Polk County Sheriff's Office, and I graduated from Western in 2015.
My name is Elizabeth Quintana. I'm a juvenile probation officer for Marion County. I graduated from Western in 2010.
And as Vivian said, my name is Omar Melchor Ayala, and I've been teaching here for 5 years or so. First generation student. I think that we probably have a few of those in the audience, so well, first generation. Go ahead.
All right, so they're going to go ahead and start addressing some questions that we've already given them, so that they will first address that, talk to you about that. That should give you a little bit of detail about what they do, and then we can take questions from you. So we'll start with Kevin.
All right. So, yeah, like I said, my name's Kevin Jones. I'm with the FBI here in Salem. I was a student here. I was actually sitting right where you guys are all sitting. I went to high school over in Portland, Benson Polytech. I did not know what I wanted to do when I was getting ready to graduate. I knew that I wanted to go to college. That kind of seemed like a pretty clear thing for me. But where or how, any of the details were all lost to me. I literally had no idea what I wanted to do. I had some interests. But again, the reason why I came to Western was because I just wanted to go to college. And I came to one of these, actually this exact same event, and sat there with my mom. And I was looking around and I thought, oh, this is a nice campus. I feel like I know a lot of this stuff. I feel like, you know, a lot of this is comfortable to me. And this was actually the only campus that I had visited prior to me choosing where I wanted to go for college. So it just seemed like a pretty clear choice for me. I ended up convincing my best friend in high school to come here and play football. So we were roomies, and so we were off. I came here, and initially I thought I wanted to do biology as a major, and then I realized that I'm not good at science, so that seemed pretty clear to me. And then I thought maybe teaching, so I explored that a little bit, and I didn't really, a lot of things didn't really click to me. Then a friend of mine said that he was taking a criminal justice class, and that they were talking about drug prevention and crime rates and things like that. And I was like, wow, that seems interesting. Tell me more about that. Who's your teacher? And so we were off, and I was sold. I said, okay, well, I'll check out a criminal justice class. Let's see how it goes. So I sat in a criminal justice class and was hooked. I was like, yep, this is what I want to do. I don't know where. Again, I was at the same place. I don't know where I want to work, how I'm going to do it. Any of the details were all lost to me. I didn't know. But I knew that that was at least an interest, and that's kind of where I was being pulled. So I finished up school. I was really trying hard to stay focused on grades, things like that. And so heading into my junior year, since I was already selected to, or I had already chose criminal justice as my major, I had to do what's called a practicum, which is an internship. And a lot of it's left to your own devices on how you arrange your internship and where you want to go. So I was looking at a lot of different internships, Polk County, state of Oregon Police, pretty much anywhere. And then I thought, you know what? Where else? What would be the best practicum, in my opinion, that I think I could find? And I thought, wow, what about like the FBI or like the CIA or the ATF or like any of those three-letter agencies? I'm like, those are all really cool. So I went over to the library because my laptop was broken, so I couldn't use it in my dorm. So I went over to the library and I started doing some research. And I went on the FBI's website, and I felt really cool that I was in the library and I was on the FBI's website. People were walking by, and I'm like, FBI's website right there. This is really cool. But I didn't know if they did an internship or anything. And so I ended up going to an internship page and found out the FBI does internships. But there was no information. There was no dates that said that it was going to open up the application process in the fall. And I'm like, well, heck, it's the fall right now. I wonder when that's going to open. So I was doing something else, but you know when you leave your little cursor on something on your computer, and your computer thinks that you like need help to understand what that is, so that little information bar pops up. So a little information bar thing popped up, and it said like November 10th. And well, that's in like 3 days. I'm like, I wonder if that's when they open up the application process. So I left, and I came back 3 days later, sat in the same spot, and sure enough, they said the FBI is opening up their application process for the next like 5 days. I was like, oh, okay, this is it. Fired off an application. Never thought in a million years I would ever get an email back, because whoever gets an email back from the FBI, right? That just never happens unless you're being scammed, right? So but I got an email back, and it said, thank you, for your application. Can you please, fill out these other documents? So I filled out a bunch of documents, and we went back and forth. And long story short, I ended up getting the internship, and called my dad and said, Dad, I need a suit. Can you please buy me a suit? And he said, sure. So I went up and worked for the FBI for 10 weeks up in Portland, worked on the cyber program and did some international terrorism stuff up there. And it was really hands-on. Like, it was not, intern, please go make us a cup of coffee kind of thing. It was like, hey, intern, would you mind running these names to determine who these people are? So it was really involved, and I thought, this is really cool. So at the end of my 10 weeks, they asked if I wanted to continue my internship, because I had to come back here to finish up my senior year. So I said, yeah, absolutely. Do I have to drive back to Portland for this? And they said, no, we have an office in Salem. So I came to Salem and worked there for 8 months. Prior to graduation, I was able to secure a job. And I drove back up to Portland and moved everything back up there and started working. And I worked in the confidential file room for about 2 years. Really interesting. Got to work with a lot of informants and programs like that. But it really gave me an opportunity to bring my experience both as a student here and as an intern to a full-time employment. And I was able to ask all the silly questions as an intern because I don't know anything. And I really took hold of that, and I ran with it. And I was able to ask what I thought were kind of silly, weird questions, but I was given honest answers. So worked up there for 2 years, and then I got a job doing tactical intelligence work down here in Salem. So in Salem, we manage all of the federal crimes within the 5 counties surrounding us. And it's great. And I was really able to take a lot of the information and a lot of the knowledge that I learned here at Western as a student, and I use it every day. And it was the best choice that I had made as far as my education was to come here, sit in the same spot you guys were at. I had interest. I didn't know how it was all going to work out, but that's kind of the funny thing about life. Things just kind of work out. So a couple things, really, if you guys are looking to come to Western, if you guys are looking to get into criminal justice, secure internships, do things like that, there's really not a playbook that you can go find on Amazon and have it primed, shipped to your house. There's nothing of that sort. What you really need to do is take a look at what you're doing right now and figure out how to make it better. Nobody's perfect, myself included. There's always ways to improve yourself. But spend some time talking to your counselors, to your parents, to teachers, and invest some time in yourself. Because right now, although it may look like you're not too far, that graduation from college is a million miles away, but really 4 years goes by incredibly fast. I'm sure everyone here can attest to that. So spend some time, really make yourself a quality candidate, so that way, when 4 years go by, when you graduate from Western, you can really thank yourself for the hard work you put in. So that's pretty much all for me. I'll be hanging around. I'll be upstairs for a little bit. I'd love to answer some questions also after the panel's finished. Try to shine some light on what the FBI does. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So you'll have the opportunity to ask him questions after the whole panel is done speaking. So keep your questions, okay? Now we'll have Officer Hunter speak.
Like I said, my name's Sabrina. I graduated from here. I guess it's been 10 years. A little bit of a different story from Kevin. I am a first-generation college student, and I did not have any support from my family. They actually told me not to go to college, that it was a waste of time, waste of money. So being a defiant teenager, I said, actually, I'm going to go because you told me not to. Anyway, so my parents both worked dead-end jobs. My mom's a waitress. My dad is a semi-truck driver. So I knew I didn't want to work so hard my whole life to make ends meet. I wanted to be a success story. I'd wanted to be a police officer since I was a small child. I grew up in a family of cops. I have pictures of me as a 3-year-old dressed every day for like years in police officer uniforms. Anyway, so I did a couple years at community college down in Eugene, and then that got me nowhere. I learned none of my credits transferred. I didn't have a support system, so I started over from scratch at Western. I chose this school because it is so small and so intimate, and one of my professors, Vivian, they actually care about you. They take time to help you. They know your name. They're very small class sizes. It feels like home. That's why I chose this school. The opportunities I was granted at Western, they placed me with a practicum with state police. I also worked with the Abby's House, which is like a center for domestic violence victims here at the campus. And I was also placed with Sable House, which is kind of a similar program up in Dallas. So I was given a lot of volunteer experience while I went to school here. When I graduated 10 years ago, I had this mindset that I would automatically get my dream job. I was completely wrong. There is hundreds and hundreds of people that apply for one police officer position. It is so ungodly competitive, you have no idea. So I realized I had to stand out from the rest of the candidates. So I continued to volunteer. Years after I graduated, I worked for Marion County Parole and Probation with the sex offender unit, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I got a part-time job as a community service officer with Salem Police. It was, I think, 14 hours a week, really bad pay, but I did it because I knew I needed my foot in the door. So once I got hired with Salem 7 years ago, I guess I can talk about the testing process and the application process. It's a really long process to apply as a police officer. Just the application and backgrounds and interviews and testing usually takes about 6 months. And like I said, we usually, when we'll hire for 5 people, we'll have 800 people apply. So we will do thorough background checks. We'll check your social media. So just a heads up, if you guys have Facebook and Snapchat, Instagram, just be careful of what you post now. It will haunt you later on. So once that's all finished and you get your job offer, you go through training as a police officer. It's very intense. It usually lasts anywhere from 8 months to a year. It's all paid. There's various phases of the testing process. We go through quarterly training every 3 months. I go to the range and I have to qualify. We have to go through a certain tactical course with a handgun, a shotgun, less lethal shotgun. We go through consims. Actually, I have that on Saturday. It's just confrontational simulations. So we're doing a lot of active shooter training. So we simulate like what a school shooting would look like and how we would react to such a situation. We go through defensive tactics and EVOC, which is how you learn how to drive crazy, I guess, in a police car. So we do that every quarter. We train a lot. As tedious and obnoxious as it is that we train all the time, it's great training. So when we are confronted with a situation out in the field, we just have that instant flashback to your training. You go right back to your training. You're on probation for 18 months as a police officer, so you're basically an at-will employee at that time. Anything you do or mess up about, you can be terminated. Salem Police Department is the second largest city agency in Oregon, next to Portland Police Bureau. We have about 200 police officers. With such an agency that size, there's a lot of opportunities for growth within our agency. I currently work graveyard shift. patrol. So I'm your street cop that goes out and writes tickets and responds to domestic violence calls and shoplifts, and you chase stolen cars and those kind of things. So at some point, if I do get bored with doing that, the different divisions we have a criminal investigation section, which is split into two parts. There's person crimes, which would be like your sex offenses, your homicides, your robberies, and then there's a property crime division. That's like stolen cars, fraud, burglaries, things like that. We have school police officers that patrol the high schools. We have a canine unit. We have a crime prevention unit. There's a street crimes unit, which is like your undercover cops that are all covered in tattoos and beards. They go out and do undercover drug buys. We have a drug enforcement unit. We have the motorcycle cops. We have a downtown unit, which kind of rides bikes in the transit mall and down there. We also have a gang unit. We have a really large gang issue in Salem. We have our own SWAT team. We have a bomb team, technical negotiations team, and a mobile response team. I'll tell you a little bit about, my involvement with the department. I'm on a domestic violence team. So every month I meet and we talk about new case laws that come out. I go on probably 3 to 5 domestic violence calls a night per shift. So it's a huge issue in Salem. The potential for training is amazing. I'm getting sent to Texas for a week next month to do training. Trying to go to Las Vegas in May for domestic violence training. I'm part of our recruiting team. I have a table, like Kevin said, up. If you guys have any questions later, I'd love to talk about the testing process with you guys. We also have a chief's internal advisory committee. So our chief meets with, I think there's about 15 of us of all ranks, and we make decisions along with the chief as to uniforms and hiring and testing, policies, that kind of thing. And I just got actually selected to do a multidisciplinary team with Marion County District Attorney's Office for human trafficking. So I'm really excited about that. The pay, I'll talk about the pay. Don't quote me on this, but we start at $59,000 a year, which sounds not very exciting. But I go to court a lot. I work a lot of overtime, so I was able to make $90,000 last year. So $30,000 in overtime in court and, trainings and whatever. So the money is great, in my opinion. I would say my favorite thing about coming to work every day is having absolutely no idea what I'm going to do. It's not a mindless desk job where I sit in front of a computer and file paperwork every day. I can go to work and I can get in fights. I can get in high-speed chases. I can, take someone down by their hair. It's great. It's a good time. It's just unpredictable. It's the best job ever. I come to work and I can't believe I get paid to do it. It's a good time. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions, please come see me afterwards or when the panel's all done.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So, by the way, that clock is wrong. So I'll let you know when time is running out. Okay. All right. So we'll have Stephanie Hughes next.
So I'm Stephanie Hughes. I'm a crime victim advocate in Benton County at the District Attorney's Office. I'm also a graduate student here at Western. I was born and raised in Corvallis. After high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do, not a clue, and decided to go to community college for 2 years. So I went to Lynn Benton. When I was done with that, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. I had taken a couple different classes there that I thought would interest me, teaching, things like that. Nothing really fit for me. I came up here to Western to do a tour, and I met with some of the faculty with the department, and really fell in love with the campus, fell in love with the advisors and the support staff, and the professors, and how much they supported their students to succeed. I was a young mom at the time too, so college was kind of something that was on the back burner at the beginning, but I decided I wanted to go into it. I wanted to give it a try. I knew I wanted to get an education to help support my family. So I came to Western, took a criminal justice class, and fell in love. There was so much to learn in the classes, and there were so many different careers that I could go into that I decided to stick with it. After I graduated in 2000, well, let me back up. My senior year, I did a practicum experience with Benton County District Attorney's Office, and that's where I learned about the Victim Assistance Program. Before that, I didn't even really know what that was. So that really took everything that I learned in the classroom and put it into a job experience for me, and led me in the direction that I'm in now. I really enjoy working with victims and that side of the criminal justice system. After I graduated, and about 3 months after my practicum, I was offered a part-time position with the office, and I took it. Over about a year, it turned into a full-time position. Our program is made up of a director, 4 advocates, and 2 rotating intern students. Each of the advocates have a primary focus. We have a domestic violence and elder abuse victim. We have a sexual assault victim, and we have a juvenile bilingual advocate. Sorry, I was just referring to them as victims and they're advocates. And then we have a restitution advocate. My role in the office is restitution. Part of that is working with victims about the losses and expenses that they've incurred as a result of a crime. A lot of times it's medical bills, property damage. It's a wide range depending on the severity of the crime. Once I've completed that, I submit it to the court, and I request that the court order the defendant to pay for those losses. We also work with other resources in the community and in the state that help victims recover not only from the trauma emotionally and mentally, but also the financial trauma. I go to court a lot with victims. We do restitution hearings. I help prepare victims for court. I walk them through the process. I notify them of their rights as a victim, which a lot of times people who haven't been involved in the system don't realize how many rights victims do have. I also facilitate meetings between the victims and prosecutors in our office. Essentially, how I look at it is, if the victim wants to participate in the case and they want their voice heard, we help facilitate that to happen. I work really close with law enforcement, with defense and prosecuting attorneys, probation officers, both juvenile and adult, and the court. We also work with the Department of Justice a lot, especially if cases are being referred to the state or federal level. In my job, it really requires a lot of communication skills. I do a lot of writing, and I have to document everything that I do. I'm not privileged to confidential information with victims, so anything that they tell me, I have to pass that along to the prosecutor, who essentially has to pass that along to the defense, which can ruin a case. So I make sure that that's well known with victims. But a lot of documentation, a lot of verbal skills, and time management. Those are all things that are really critical in my job, and they're things that I learned through the program here at Western. The writing courses that I took were the biggest benefit for me, as well as learning to balance as a student my personal life, school, work, all of those things. Learning how to manage those things really help when it gets down to having a career in criminal justice. Right now, we roughly serve about 700 victims every 3 months. Some cases take longer than others. Some go really quick. Some go years. For an example, last year we provided about 38,000 services to victims between 4 of us, 4 advocates in our county. What else is there? having a degree in criminal justice gives me the opportunity for more advancement in my office and in other agencies. It also gives me more of an edge compared to those that are applying for the positions that don't have that. So I do encourage you guys to continue your education outside of high school. I would also advise you guys to get to know the people in the criminal justice department and get to know the campus. Find out the people that you're going to be going to for advice and who want to help you succeed here. It's really one of the only ways that I succeeded was making those relationships and those connections with people, not only with the school, but they helped facilitate that outside of the education setting and into the real world of networking. I would also recommend taking a criminal justice class, seeing if it fits for you, and learning about all the career paths that a criminal justice degree can take you in.
Thank you.
So I'm Deputy Sam Hatch. I was born and raised in St. Helens, Oregon, which is about 30 minutes north of Portland. And it's a very small community, very much Monmouth Western. It's a very small community, and growing up, especially in high school, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a teacher. So you come to Western to be a teacher. I spent all 4 years of high school learning about becoming a teacher, and then my senior year, I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Fortunately, I had a brother who went to Western, who was in the CJ program. I came and visited him, and I sat in one of his CJ classes. That hooked me. Next 4 years after coming here, I learned so many different things. I participated in the data crime analysis, doing a lot of the crime scene diagramming, learning about policy, writing. Writing is a very important part of this. And definitely getting a chance to do the internship program. I did mine at Marion County Sheriff's Office. I spent my time at the jail, and it was an eye-opener. I had no idea what to expect when I first walked through those doors, but it's a whole new world, and it's something that doesn't get shown in TV for like shows like Cops. That's all fun. They spend a couple hours. I spend 12 hours a day. And part of what my job is the catch-all term is maintain safety and security. We deal with the worst people in the public, and some are not terrible. They just make bad decisions in their life and they continue on. Our job is to make sure that they go to court, they come back, they stay safe, and they do their time that they're supposed to be doing. But my job doesn't just end there. It continues on with dealing with, we do court security. So we do arraignments. When they first appear in front of the judge does they do their whole process on that side of on their side. And when they come back, we continue to maintain safety and security. We do transports. We get officers in our county, they'll arrest people on other counties' warrants. They come to us and we transport them over to their facility. We wear many hats. We are counselors. We're behavioral health aides. We got to recognize a lot of difference of these people that come in. There are drug addicts. There are people who have their behavioral health issues who aren't taking their medication. They're self-medicating with methamphetamines and heroin and all that nasty stuff that comes out. And we're investigators. There's a lot of things that go on in jail. Like I said, these are not the best people in the communities, so they'll still commit crimes inside our facility. And we have to look into these things because, again, it goes back to maintaining safety and security. People like to make weapons. We find it. People like to bring in drugs. We will find it. Other parts, we're problem solvers. We have to deal with verbal conflicts with inmates. And arguing over what to watch on TV is one of the weirdest conversations to have with people, saying it's okay, you can watch the news for a little bit. Some of the parts that that really hammer into why it's important to go to college and get into the CJ program is it will benefit you as you move forward in your career. You can only work on the floor, work patrol for so long in your life that you can't keep doing it. So, eventually you have to work behind a desk. I know a lot of officers don't like it, but they'll realize it. So, you have to get your higher certifications. Having a degree decreases the amount of time that you have to spend years of service. So when you have the opportunity to become a sergeant, become a captain, become a lieutenant, sheriff, chief, it takes time, but having a bachelor's degree can cut that time in half. Having a master's even cuts that time way down faster. And it's, like I said, it's a good investment. And part of that is right now there are still agencies that are giving incentive pay. I get a 7% incentive pay by having just a degree. So every pay scale I go up, I get another 7% because I have a degree, and it keeps going up if you have any higher education. Right now, that's still a thing. Probably in the future, it's going to be required to have a degree. And one of the best things you'll get from being in college is the habits that you get. One of the best habits I have is I can pull all-nighters. I can stay up all night and keep working with no issues. Report writing, we constantly document everything. Documentation is just liability, liability, liability. If you aren't saving yourself by writing good reports, you're putting yourself in the opportunity of being in the face of a lawsuit. Other things is like when you first get hired, you got to go to the academy, whether it's corrections for 6 weeks or patrol, which is 16 weeks. Most people are at least 21 years old, and they can be older. They don't spend time in school. The habits that you take from here move on to when you go to the academy. You only get a week, less than a week, to learn new material. You have to test on it. Once you test on it, you have to pass with a passing score of at least 75% for most things. Some of the people that go in there, they'll fail because they don't have those habits that you take from high school to college and beyond, and now they just wasted a bunch of time. And the other parts to doing all of this is that you make yourself more employable. You are committing yourself to a career that is a big liability. You're an investment. You have to look at that. You are potentially a lawsuit for an agency. You're also the potential to be one of the best people that work there. And if this is something you really, really want to do, you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of your time, your personal time, not all of it, but some of it. If you want to do this, there are definitely a lot of things that are going on that you can do. Some of those things are cadet programs. If you're under 21, you can do those. You get to really, it's an exploratory program. A lot of agencies in the Polk County and in Marion County do that. There's also reserve programs. So after you turn 21, you can do those. You get to ride along with an officer or deputy. You get to a lot of experience. And then from there, you become more employable. My personal experience, I was in a reserve. I wish I was. I spent almost 2 years applying and not getting a job. And it was really, really frustrating. Then you finally get the opportunity like I did, and I just run with it. And you just keep trying to do as much more experience as possible. You become a trainer. Like I'm a first aid and CPR trainer. There's a lot of opportunities you can do. You can become an electrical contact weapon trainer, which is a taser. You can become a defensive tactics instructor, show people how to take people down to the ground and safely arrest them or detain them. And it just continues on from there. And I'll leave you with this. The best thing you can do for yourself right now is you are looking at being hired. Every decision you make from now to when you first start applying, every decision you can make, especially Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, it's all recorded. You are being looked at of what your choices are. You want to be the person who makes the right decision, not the bad decisions.
Thank you very much. So we now have our last two panelists.
Hi, so my name is Elizabeth Quintana. I am a juvenile probation for Marion County. I have been in probation going on my 5th year, but I have been working for the juvenile department for 10 years. I stumbled onto actually the juvenile department by pure accident. So I'm kind of on the boat of first generation. I come from a very Latin family. So it's not always easy to explain college to them, but they were supportive in their own way, right? When I stumbled onto the juvenile department, my focus was education, and I want to be a teacher, history teacher, right? Because that just seems to be the bottom line. But as I started working with the juvenile department, I found that there were so many kids in need, and good kids, you know. As I got more and more involved, I worked with our detention center, got to know some of the kids around us, and it was just something that needed to be addressed, you know. Kids who require consistent guidance and understanding and push, something that I received when I was in high school, and frankly, without push, without somebody consistently being there to say you can do this or you have to do this, it was probably not going to happen for me in high school, but it eventually did. So my course changed. I decided that I wanted to do something in regards to juvenile justice because that was my focus. I've always enjoyed working with kids. As I was approaching my last year, I was panicking because number one, I'm like, I have debt and I need a job. So one of the things that I ended up doing is that I applied for relief work for Marion County, and that's how I basically got my foot in the door into the juvenile department. I started working with the kids, and then eventually after I graduated from Western, I ended up as a probation officer there. Some of the things that I gathered while I was here at Western is that it's a small environment, and for me, it's important for you to understand your needs. Meaning, if you can work in a large environment with lots of people, that's awesome. But some of us can't. So the small environment that Western provided was great because you were able to connect not only with teachers, but also with the students that were in your courses. It was a good way for you to go back and forth and problem solve, because as you go through college, what you're going to find is it's a lot of work and you're going to need support. So having a good program that is supportive of your needs, having good individuals within those in your classes, and you be willing to reaching out to them is also going to be important. So that's one of the things that I took from Western, is learning to really cooperate and work with others. When you go into a field like juvenile justice, it is a people business, meaning we have to deal with individuals every day. And some of them are high maintenance. It requires you to be tactful and understanding, and a lot of things that you kind of just prepare while you're at Western. That was my take from it. What I do specifically in the juvenile department is, as a probation officer, I carry a caseload of about 25 different kids, each of them with their own unique personalities and their own way of seeing the world, with lots of things that have happened. So understanding that you have to work with them as individuals, not as a set group, is an important thing. I work with kids that are gang affected, as well as individuals who are having issues with drug and alcohol. So I'm part of what's called a STAR court team, which is a high intensity court that deals with individuals that have high needs for drug and alcohol. And so that is my primary focus right now. As I've gone through this, it's been a learning curve because I've been at it for the last 2 years. As you go through your fields, you're going to find that people say, here you go, this is your new caseload. And you say, oh, okay. And you just have to learn it. And you have to ask questions, and you have to be comfortable with the people that are around you. So as for juvenile department as it is, there's lots of things that we have on our juvenile campus. We have a work program that's called our Matrix program. It helps kids address their restitution, meaning the money that they owe to the community or to their victims. It is not pleasant for them, but they still get to do it. We have educational services, so you have the ability, if kids are struggling with their education, we get them involved with education services, so tutoring services, figuring out how they can graduate, other things. We have a detention facility, which is usually the distasteful part for most of the kids. It's basically a way station is kind of what I consider it, because the detention facility is used as not a timeout per se, but it's for us to figure out what the next move is. We're having issues and they seem to be consistent. So it's time we figure out something new. So it's kind of like a way station for them while we figure out what the next plan of action is going to be. We have a shelter program that is called GAP. which helps with youth that are having difficulty being home or being in the community. So it gives them a place that's safe for them to stay, that is very supervised, and it still allows them to be involved within the community. And then probation is the other piece of it and components. I consider my job more like a brokerage of services. My job is to see each of my clients, and each of them have specific needs and services that we require. So I have to be very focused oriented. What is it that they need? There are tools that you're going to be provided that each department will give you. Learn to use your tools. So they talk about evidence-based practices and all those big words when you go through your program. Pay attention to them. They're important. You'll find that out once you're actually in the field. But really, the biggest thing I think I took from Western is this. Learn to use the resources around you. Learn to speak with your professors. Learn to communicate openly. Learn to advocate for yourself, tactfully being the key. And you're going to do just fine in any field that you choose in the juvenile justice system or in the criminal justice system. It's just a matter of you wanting to do it and really focusing on that. So,
Thank you very much.
Like I said, my name is Omar Melchor. I'm going to try to cut mine short because I want to make sure that we have some time for questions. Unlike you guys, I didn't know that I wanted to go to college or that I wanted to be in criminal justice. Like I said, I'm a first-generation student and a first-generation immigrant. In my senior year in college, in high school, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I had a counselor who was really pushing me to go to college. And to me, that was just a, really unattainable idea at the time. But I finally followed his advice. He recommended that I apply to Western because he knew that they had, a really good criminal justice program. And at the time, that was one of the things that I wanted to do, perhaps, was be a police officer. But again, I didn't have any idea, whether I was actually going to get into school or, what I wanted to do. So one of the very first classes that I took when I was here was a intro class in criminal justice, which I'm now teaching. And like Kevin, I was completely hooked. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to be a police officer or a probation officer or something else, but I became really, really passionate about it. And over time, I graduated from here. And after, right before graduation, I actually remember having a conversation with Vivian about grad school because I had another professor who was, again, really pushing me to go to the next step and, get a master's degree. And I thought he was crazy. But for some reason, I listened to him and to Vivian and a couple other people that were, advising me. And I applied to the master's program at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. And for some reason, I got accepted. Went through the master's program, came back to Oregon, and I wasn't still 100% sure what I wanted to do. I applied to I applied to the FBI actually, and to a couple of policing jobs. But I really knew that I had a passion for helping for helping students. The time that I spent here at Western, in my opinion, was just incredibly formative, and it was a period of, transition and growth that really changed the life, not only my life, but also the life of my family. And I knew that I wanted to do something similar for other students, so I ended up applying for a PhD program at Portland State University. Again, I have no idea how, but I got accepted, and I'm now about to finish that program. Now, in my role here at the university, I primarily, my time is focused on putting lectures together. I teach. Right now, I'm teaching twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So spending time getting ready for those classes, actually teaching the classes, grading, of course. But what I find most fulfilling about my position right now, again, is just working with students and being a small part of that. Again, really formative time of growth for students. So I really, really enjoy that. Now, one of the questions that Vivian had sent for us to prepare for this was what advice I would give students who are considering this program. And I think that my opinion is a little bit biased, I believe, because I'm an insider, right? I'm now working for the department. I was a student, that went through the whole program, like I said. So my opinion is a little bit biased, but it also gives me the opportunity as an insider to get to know these professors in the program at a little bit deeper level than most students. And one thing that I can say for sure is that aside from the fact that these are really qualified individuals who are experts in their fields, who are passionate about criminal justice and the many, many issues that come with it, they are also a group of people that are incredibly, incredibly passionate about helping students. And to me, that made the difference. Like I said, first-generation student, first-generation immigrant. I could barely speak the language, let alone write it, when I started my education here. But because of people like the people that we have in the Criminal Justice Department and others here at the university, of course, I was able to successfully make it through. And now I'm in this position. So my advice to you would be take this opportunity. It is a really incredible program. It is a really large program. And we have a lot of people with different expertises on different areas. But more than that, I think what really matters and what I think should matter to you is the fact that these are people that are committed to your success. Whatever that may look like, whatever your trajectory may look like, whether it's becoming a police officer or a probation officer or education maybe, you may follow the path that I followed. These are a group of people that are really dedicated to that. And I think that's why you should choose Western Oregon. But again, of course, that's a biased opinion because I'm in it. So,
Thank you very
that's me.
much. Thank you. So we thank our panelists for doing such a wonderful job and for representing such diverse areas of criminal justice. So this tells you what we have to offer you. We have to offer you many, many, many things beyond your imagination. So the things you tend to hear, you hear people say, you don't need a degree to go into criminal justice. Your answer is right here for what a degree in criminal justice will do for you. And when you come to campus, it's not unusual for you to hear people say, oh, you're in criminal justice because you want to be a police officer. We have some fine police officers here, but we also have other agencies that you can work in. So what we give you is it's a preparation to be a person who is self-confident, who doesn't give up. Like Kevin, you heard in Sabrina's story, you heard it pretty much in everybody's story. When you are turned down by one agency, because of the breadth of preparation you have from this program, you're ready to tackle a different area. So that's something to keep in mind. We are running out of time, but I'm going to have a few questions to the panelists, if you have any.
You should have some, by the way. If you don't, I'm going to be concerned.
There's a question right there.
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. So within the FBI,
His question was for Kevin, and it said, what field does he work in within the FBI?
more specifically is what field do I work in, but then also, is it one particular field or do I do a variety of things? Is that correct? So that's a really great question, and I can only answer for where I'm at. So within Salem, we're what's considered an RA, a resident agency. So you can think of it as like a satellite office. So we have our main headquarters for Oregon is in Portland, over by the airport. We also have offices in Salem, Eugene, Medford, Bend, and Pendleton. So we have small satellite offices. The idea when it was designed is that we could respond anywhere in the state within 2 hours. So we have kind of blanket coverage. So in the RAs, we're required to work all federal offenses across all different areas. So, I could work, which is I would say is the best thing about my job, is that in the morning I could be looking into international terrorism matters or gang matters, and in the afternoon I could be doing white collar offenses or trying to determine who hacked into something else. So in the RAs, especially from an intelligence standpoint, it's great because we get to work everything. Now in the main headquarters division, they work on different squads. So if you're embedded on there, you work only international terrorism, only counterintelligence, domestic terrorism, things like that. So that's like your specialty. So that's that's kind of where that's at. Does that answer your question well? Okay, good question.
Any other questions? We still have 5 minutes. Yep.
How, like, do you get into internships, and, like, what's your favorite part about getting
So, want me to take that?
general question for all of them?
So basically, to get into, this program is designed such that we have the internship built into it. So in your senior year of this program, or sometimes in the later part of your junior year, we help place you in an agency, because once you come in, you work with a faculty advisor who guides you. And so your faculty advisor will have an idea by the time you're a senior what your interests are. And then that person will help guide you. And we have a practicum placement coordinator. All of the agencies, most of them are fielded by alumni, as you can tell. Some of our alumni are actually retiring now. And so this program has such a great connection with the agencies all the time that they come to us with internship opportunities or job opportunities all the time. So being here makes you connected. And so by the time you actually get to close to finishing, you would have the opportunity to be connected to an agency through the program here. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I want to add, second that, and also add, how long have we had the internship program, Vivian? It's been...
Oh, the internship program has probably been here for over 30 years.
Over 30 years. So that means that when you choose this program, that is one of the benefits that you're getting. It's those connections that we've made with agencies and with the community for the last 30 years, you get that benefit too. So whether your interest is in the FBI or it's maybe being working with the courts or becoming an attorney after graduation, we are able to offer you guidance in terms of those connections that we've built over the last several decades. So it's another benefit.
Thank you very much. So there's one more question. So we'll take that last question, and then I think the admissions office is ready to come over and do a raffle for you.
They're ready to kick us out.
Yes. So we'll take the last question, please.
Sort of goes with the last question. How does it work if you're currently a cadet? You're currently a cadet, and how does that play with along with your interests?
That's a very good question, and I think that's meant for me. Basically, her question is, if you're already a cadet, how does that fit into our program? Yes. Basically, we do have some cadets in our program who are also CJ majors. And so if you have that experience, what we do is we work with you. We are flexible, because being a cadet means that you're already getting some practical experience. And so if that's leading you towards what you already want to do, there are ways we work with you so that you can get academic credit for that, so that you don't have to be placed somewhere else with another agency. But some people come in even having that experience, who then realize that there are so many other things that they are interested in. And in that case, we can help you get some different experience in another area that you may be thinking of.
The biggest thing to remember is just that we're really flexible when it comes to this stuff, because again, we're committed to your success. So just talk to us, and we'll work out details.
So thank you very much. We'll have to end it here, and I'll invite the admissions office to take over again. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time.